Despite the deliberate steps taken by the new regulators to avoid the pitfalls of the old style of regulation, the performance of the social regulation can best be described as mixed at best. Even though the new style agencies were given considerable powers to enforce their missions, in practice implementation has been a severe problem. For example, OSHA is vested with the power to impose substantial fines for safety and health violations. It may, in particularly serious cases, even shut down a business until standards are met. Only in the rarest cases does OSHA or any of the other regulatory agencies employ its full enforcement powers. Why has this been the case? First, in deliberately broadening the scope of these agencies' regulatory activities, Congress may have inadvertently prescribed too large a task. In the case of the Environmental Protection Agency, there are some 12,000 potentially hazardous waste sites to be monitored, 15,000 sewage treatment plants to be upgraded, some 300 species of plants and animals to be protected, in addition to maintaining the general quality of the air we breathe and the water we drink. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration must regulate some 3.5 million workplaces across the country. Obviously, given the limitations on time, energy, manpower, and other resources, enforcement of standards will be uneven. Second, even though Congress often opted for a regulate-first posture, most legislation had insufficient concern for enforcement. It is one thing for politicians in Congress to embrace the values of clean air and clean water, worker safety and consumer safety, but it is another to provide agencies with sufficient resources to carry out their missions. There never seems to be enough money or personnel for an agency to implement its mission fully. Furthermore, Congress frequently set standards without regard to whether the objectives were technologically attainable. Agencies continually experience technical difficulties in applying regulatory standards. Goals are often too ambitious or unrealistic. Third, perhaps most critically, there are usually severe political restrictions placed upon implementation of regulations. It was previously noted that agencies such as OSHA theoretically can shut down operations of habitual violators. The Environmental Protection Agency has similar authority to force businesses to curtail operations when air quality deteriorates to dangerous levels in a particular area. However, typically in these circumstances, members of Congress intervene on behalf of businesses operating in their districts, and usually the agency is forced to back off. Fourth, and finally, it should be noted that only on the rarest occasions does a regulation fall completely under the purview of a single agency. Typically, the social regulatory agencies share enforcement authority with other federal agencies, state or local agencies, or even private actors. In these situations, it is quite difficult to develop a consensus as to what should be done. The greater the number of decision or veto points involved in implementation, the greater the number of interpretations of purpose. Too often, no one agency or person is in charge of implementation.